Hello and welcome to this News 18 special. We are talking about Karnataka election. One of the major issues this election season has been the decision of the BJP government here to slash the 4% reservation that was there for Muslims in Karnataka under the 2B category. Now, many are saying that this was a wrong decision. The Congress says we will bring back the reservation for Muslims if we come to power. The BJP says it was unconstitutional. There is no way any party could have justified this reservation. That's the reason we have scrapped it and given to Vokkaligas and Lingayats. So the question today is, should reservation for Muslims be brought back? Now, there are multiple aspects here. Why was it brought in the first place? Second, why was it removed? Third, what are the aspects that will play a role if any government decides to bring it back? And legally, where does this issue stand? Now, before we get into this entire chat on how and why of this entire controversy, first we should look at what some of the major leaders have told CNN News 18 over the last few days on this controversy. Remember, the BJP is carpet bombing Karnataka with several national leaders. And first up, we had Union Home Minister Amit Shah talking to us exclusively and saying that there is no party which can justify reservation based on religion. It's unconstitutional and illegal. Let's listen and then come back.
जी एक तरफ कहते हैं कि हम वापस आएंगे तो मुस्लिम रिजर्वेशंस देंगे, दूसरी तरफ कुछ विवादात्मक स्टेटमेंट्स देते हैं लिंगायत कम्युनिटी के बारे में. आपके राय में ये इलेक्शंस पर कैसा असर पड़ेगा सर?
देखिए, मुस्लिम रिजर्वेशन गैर संवैधानिक है. कांग्रेस पार्टी ने तुष्टीकरण के लिए मुस्लिम रिजर्वेशन रखा था. हमने मुस्लिम रिजर्वेशन को हटाकर वोक्कलिगा, लिंगायत, एससी, एसटी और ओबीसी समाज के रिजर्वेशन को बढ़ाया है. मैं मानता हूं कि कोई भी पार्टी गैर संवैधानिक काम नहीं कर सकती है. वोट बैंक की राजनीति के लिए कांग्रेस ने किया है. निश्चित रूप से कर्नाटक की जनता मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में डबल इंजन सरकार बनाने जा रही है.
Well, Union Home Minister making it very clear that it's unconstitutional, illegal. Similar lines echoed by former Chief Minister of Karnataka, Yediyurappa, and UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Let's listen in.
And Ishwarappa is there is an individual statement for that. He is only the individual opinion. You want Hindu, Muslim, Christian, everybody's vote, and all are supporting us. And Ishwarappa is there is an individual statement. For that, I am not going to support.
की सरकार का भी अभिनंदन करूंगा कि पीएफआई जैसे संगठनों को बैन करके उसकी कमर को तोड़ने का कार्य भी कर्नाटक के अंदर हुआ है. आप सोचिए, एक और डबल इंजन की सरकार जो पीएफआई पे बैन करती है, पीएफआई को बैन करती है, और दूसरी तरफ कांग्रेस जो पीएफआई को तुष्टीकरण करने का कार्य करती है. उन्हें धर्म के आधार पर रिजर्वेशन देने का कार्य करती है. धर्म के आधार पर आरक्षण यह भारत के संविधान के विपरीत है, असंवैधानिक है.
Okay, we have some questions coming in. We'll get to the point. We have Babita Pandey from Delhi, and she's asking what was the logic used to give reservation in the first place. Well, remember, reservation for Muslims in Karnataka was given in 1994. This was by H.D. Deve Gowda government. And the H.D. Deve Gowda government, in fact, based this entire decision on several reports. The Chinnappa Reddy Commission report that was considered as the third backward classes commission report. That was, in a way, the ground for H.D. Deve Gowda government to give this 4% reservation to Muslims under category 2B of the OBC cluster in Karnataka. They've also, in fact, made a mention of Hamnoor Commission report and said there's enough to indicate that Muslims in Karnataka are socially and educationally backward. And the government then decided to, in fact, bring in reservation. It has undergone some change. it was breaching the 50% mark. Several people went to court, and the government decided to scrap at least 2% reservation given to others and ensure that the 4% reservation given to Muslims remains there. And that's the reason why you had H.D. Degoda yesterday once again talking, saying that the decision that he had taken way back in 1994 was based on these reports. Wasn't anybody's whims and fancies, or it wasn't a political decision. He says that two reports, in fact, said that there was enough ground to classify Muslims as backward. They were educationally and socially backward, and they needed some bit of upliftment. And his government decided to give 4% reservation to Muslims in Karnataka. That's why his government decided to take that decision. The BJP is saying it's just that nobody went to court and argued strongly for this reservation to be struck down. And as a government that believes in constitutional and the courts of this country, we have decided to scrap it. Well, that's the argument coming in from the BJP. But if you look at the kind of argument that have happened in the Supreme Court, remember, the Supreme Court has considered the recent decision of the Karnataka government. In fact, if you want to look at specific observations made by the court, it's called it shaky, on a shaky ground. They've also said it's flawed, which means the court doesn't believe in the kind of argument that the state government has made before them. And that's also one of the reasons why you have the Karnataka government also now saying we will not implement the new reservation metrics. We will stick to the old regime, which means the 4% quota for Muslims in Karnataka will continue. We have another question that has come in from Mr. Krishna Kumar on YouTube. He's asking, reservation on the basis of religion, caste, creed, minority must be scrapped immediately. Only qualified and meritorious candidates to be given jobs. Well, this has been a debate that has gone on for decades now. The argument by several parties and governments are that there are still communities which need some bit of a help. Despite reservation over the number of years, they haven't been uplifted. They need some bit of a help from the government to ensure that there is a level playing field. And we've moved towards that with some bit of reservation given for the economically weaker section. But most governments and parties still say that the history of the country has been such that just these decades are not enough to ensure that we create a level playing field. And whether it's the BJP, Congress, or any other party, none of them really wanting to come out and say it's time to look at getting rid of reservation based on caste lines for that precise reason, because they believe that there are communities that have been deprived, and there needs to be some bit of empowerment that will happen. Also, remember, even as we talk about not having reservation on caste lines, the reality in rural India is different. Even in rural Karnataka, I was talking to someone just a while ago, and this is a person who works for several of these communities, and he says there are communities who are backward but are not even identified as a backward community. For example, there is a small tribe called Beda Gampana. They are based out of Hills in Karnataka, and it's a tribal community, and they do small jobs over there. They're really backward, but they haven't even been identified as a backward tribe. And they do not get any of these benefits that whether the state government or the union government has put out. The other classification that we'll have to make here is, remember, there has been an argument that you can't have really a quota based on religious lines. The counter argument that has come from many is in Karnataka, when that reservation was given, 4% reservation was given for Muslims, they were not identified as a religious community. Everywhere, every report, it's the backward classes. The nomenclature itself says backward classes. And the yardstick is if that particular group of people is a backward class. And that's the reason even the commission is called the Backward Classes Commission. And that's why many are arguing that religion wasn't the identity or the nomenclature used while deciding deciding reservation for Muslims in Karnataka. I will bring in my colleague Ritu shortly. She's been traveling across Karnataka. Ritu, you've been traveling across Karnataka. We've in fact seen this becoming an election issue as well. What do you think is the feel on the ground? You've been in Shigao. Remember, Shigao, Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai's constituency has a significant Muslim population. That's one of the main reasons why the Congress has fielded a Muslim candidate from Shigao. Ritu, what is the feel on the ground? What are people, especially the Muslim community, saying? Is it becoming an election issue? There's a fear within the BJP that the Muslims could en masse vote for the Congress.
Well, you see, when you're mentioning about the Shigao in specifically, then when we were on ground to understand the sentiments of the voters, while for most of them it was really a matter of concern that people were thinking it very seriously that the kind of reservation that the BJP government had decided on to give most of that to the Panchamasalis. However, because Panchamasalis happens to be the dominant over there in the Shigao, yes. While on the other hand, the Muslim population is also they are very much huge in number there again. So that's the second stands second in that way in the list. But however, you see, to the people there, the development did matter, but somewhere the reservation is also a concern for them, where they do see that the leader phase will really not matter to them, but what they are delivering to them. So that is something that they will be looking up very seriously there.
Well, that's been one of the main arguments, and also let's not forget that there are many people. For example, we have Mr. Atulnath Jha from Madhubani in Bihar. He's asking, has someone classified them as socially and educationally backward? Yes, there are at least 2 commissions which have done that. As I mentioned, you have the Chinnappa Reddy Commission, which gave a report, and that was the basis for H.D. Devegowda government to decide if Muslims should be given reservation. That commission, in fact, calls the Muslim community as backward community. They're classified as that in this particular report by the Chinnappa Reddy Commission. Even the Havnur Commission, in fact, talks about on similar lines when talking about several smaller sects of the Muslim community, and all of them believe that this community is socially and educationally backward. And that's why the JDS says that we did not see them as Muslims and we did not give them reservation based on religion. We saw them as a backward class, and that's why they've been given reservation. That's been the argument that the JDS and in fact even Congress is saying. Now let's also highlight the other fact. What is it that the BJP and various other parties are saying for scrapping Muslim reservation? They are saying that, well, it's something that's unconstitutional. It shouldn't be done. On the other hand, there are serious question marks on the decision taken by the Karnataka government. Let's just dip into that. Karnataka government has now given reservations to Muslims in the EWS category, the economically weaker section category. The BJP says it's beneficial for them because they were receiving just 4% reservation earlier. Now they will receive a wider quota of 10% under the EWS category. What is the problem here? The problem is the community says the EWS quota is very, very clearly defined in the constitution when the government made the 10% quota for the economically weaker section. It is for forward communities who are economically backward. Now, many are saying the nomenclature itself in a way keeps Muslims out. They're saying Muslims are not forward communities, one. Second, there could be subsects which are forward, but they're not considered a forward community. Second, how would you then define the nomenclature itself is different? If you were giving them reservation under 4B because they were backward, how can you move them to a category that the nomenclature itself is economically weaker? They two are different. They can't be accommodated as one. Second, there's also fear that now smaller communities too would want to be in the EWS category because it gives them a larger pool of reservation, 10% reservation. Remember, that it could open up Pandora's box, and there could be smaller communities which are getting 2 or 3% reservation, and they will feel that they would have a better chance at jobs or even education if moved to EWS. That's been the fear for many that it could open a Pandora's box. There could be several smaller communities in the EWS cluster, in the OBC cluster, beg your pardon, who would want to be moved to the EWS cluster.
Well, that's also one of the concern, and also that most of the communities are looking forward to. But there's also a lot of confusion if you really try and understand on ground within these communities as well, that they really don't have a clarity at all with the kind of words that have been given out by the government as well. That there's no clarity, because one, we did see the kind of delay that it took place, delay that happened. Initially, we did see that how Siddaramaiah came out to say that why is that the BJP government taking this long time to implement the Nagmohan Das committee report, when it was all done back in 2020, and when there's an election, why is that they are thinking right now? It's a completely political tactic. On the other hand, we did see that when there was a complete delay in the implementation of the committee, the Congress came out, they declared a protest as well. But just that a morning that they were planning to protest, a day back, last night, just day back, that the government decides to send that whole recommendation to the central government. But however, now what these small communities as well, who are in a confusion, what they are looking forward to, what they are really also thinking is that when there's so much of confusion within the government itself, how is that the government will be able to deliver them what has to be, what they deserve it on ground that way?
Well, to engage with us, you can ask your question on YouTube. It could be anything related to this issue. It could be on what political parties are doing, what legally people are talking about this issue, on where it could head in the Supreme Court, and also what perhaps in the coming days, any government, remember, that comes on May 13th will have this as a huge challenge. Remember, the Congress says it will scrap the government's decision, the BJP government's decision, and bring back reservation for Muslims. On the other hand, you have the BJP saying there's no way any party that believes in the constitution of the country and the law can do that. The other argument against the BJP government's decision has been that Muslims are seen as a national community. They're everywhere. How can you differentiate them in, say, Karnataka and Telangana differently? Telangana will have reservation for Muslims, but Karnataka will not have reservation for Muslims. How will it play out? How will the top court of this country see that? And that's been a challenge. Many are saying that is something that the union government will have to decide. If you've classified them as a national community, then there can't be different set of laws in different states. If they are a small caste, yes, that is already present. A small caste in Uttar Pradesh could be a forward community in some other state. So that is already existing, but for a national community, that's not the case, is the argument. We have another question coming in. Darshan from Rajasthan is asking, what can Bommai's government do now? Well, there's not much that they can do now. Remember, they've already promised the Supreme Court yesterday that they will not change anything. They will go back to the existing system that was there before this decision was made, which means there was quota for Muslims of 4%. That will continue, which means they can't even implement this 4% quota that has been implemented for Vokkaligas and Lingayats together, the 2% jump or hike that was given to both these communities. So that's the promise that Bommai government has already given to the Supreme Court, that there would be in a way status quo ante, there won't be any change, and this reservation will go on till the next date of hearing. Remember, that next date of hearing comes just before the elections happen. So unlikely that the government can do anything before the voting day. It will be the new government that will come in post May 13th that will have to decide Karnataka's stance in front of the Supreme Court. Remember, Ritu, you covered the Panchamasali agitation as well. For any party coming in, this is a very, very difficult challenge. How would you accommodate all these demands? Let's also understand, Lingayats want a higher reservation. Vokkaligas want higher reservation. You also have other communities asking for either higher reservation, or communities like Kurbas, the community that backs Siddaramaiah so heavily, to be declared as ST community. So any party that is coming next will have a huge challenge irrespective of whatever promises that they are making during election.
Before that, when we were on ground to understand how is that the Panchamasali is actually reacting to the kind of decision that the government has made, especially Panchamasali Lingayat community, in fact. So most of them say that so many years in the past, all those governments never addressed their issue. But at least Bommai government made this attempt to give them 2% of reservation, while their demand was 15%, and presently they are getting 5% reservation, and they want to be included into 2A reservation quota. So many governments coming in never did anything to them, but at least this government made that attempt to give them 2%. So of course they are happy about it, but on the other side, what they really say is that the Bommai government could have actually tried to give them even more, because it was Panchamasali community which was actually continuously protesting, in fact from decades, that but Vokkaliga community happens to get that extra reservation quota as well, because it was Panchamasali which was actually protesting continuously. So they happen to get that benefit. It is all completely shows that the how politically it was also motivated, because most of them this time are Vokkaliga leaders as well, and especially very close leaders that we can really see on everyday basis, that who are with Bommai, the Karnataka Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai. So there was some sort of an influence as well from in that way. But however, for any government which is actually going to come up, there you see Congress, who seems to be very confident this time that they will be coming to the helm of the state.
Ritu, even as we discuss this, there's another question that's come in from Ms. Chandini from Ghaziabad in Uttar Pradesh. She's asking, how will this affect Karnataka elections? Now, there are multiple ways to read this. Many believe that the whole reservation metrics that was reworked or reclassified will have a bearing on the Karnataka election. Many within the Congress are hoping that the Muslims, the Kurubas, and the SC left will en masse vote for the Congress, will en masse vote for them, for the Congress party, and that would be a significant chunk of the population backing one single party. The BJP is hoping that the Vokkaligas, the Lingayats, their traditional vote base, and the SC left will back them, because remember, the reservation has been high, the internal reservation has been changed. The BJP believes that the SC left is beneficial or benefiting out of this decision. So SC left, Vokkaligas, and the Lingayats would back them. So they believe that's a huge chunk of population that can change their electoral fortunes. That's the assessment of the BJP and the Congress. But one thing is for sure, what it could do is, if you look at the entire Muslim cluster, they have traditionally been divided between the Congress and the GDS in several seats. Now, with the Congress saying that we will restore the reservation for the Muslims in Karnataka, it could mean that that division of votes within the Muslim community that was happening could end, and you might have some bit of a Muslim consolidation of the Muslim votes in Karnataka. That's something that we see might happen. In fact, the other aspect that we will have to see is how this SC/ST internal reservation will play out. Right? We have communities that have been against the BJP. We've seen Lambanis protesting outside B.S. Yediyurappa's house. We've seen some violent protest over there. And Ritu, that could really change BJP's fortunes in several seats. The internal reservation of the SC/ST community didn't really pan out the way they wanted.
Yeah. So the internal reservation, as you also pointed out, of course, they did have a different plan, but altogether, when they announced this internal reservation, this had a different kind of a reaction altogether across the state. We did see the kind of protests that had erupted, and also most of them, the Banjara, the Bovi, and also other communities reaching out in front of the BJP's tallest leader, B.S. Yediyurappa's house, protesting, pelting stones as well. So a lot of vandalism that took place, and also on the other hand, in the Shigao as well, in the Haveri, which happens to be the home constituency of Karnataka Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai. There too, there was a lot of protests that one really saw it, and even till date, we are still seeing even small protests taking place across the state. So in fact, there's also a lot of confusion, as we were talking about it, that the government, the lawmakers did not think about it, did not put out to the people in a proper manner, that there's a huge confusion right now that this might all affect to the in the elections, of course, to the BJP again. But even as we are speaking about the reservation, you see Siddaramaiah has right now tweeted, interestingly, this one. I read what he has quoted. Congress party is committed to increasing the reservation limit from 50% to 75% and to increase reservation to all castes based on their population. So that's the biggest statement.
Well, I'll tell you why this is significant. This tweet by Siddaramaiah, who says Congress party is committed to increasing the reservation limit from 50% to 75% and to increase reservation to all castes based on their population. It does two things. There has been a constant question by the BJP asking the Congress, if you are going to cancel or if you are going to restore reservation for Muslims, then what are you going to do? Will you cancel reservation for Vokkaligas and the Lingayats that was hyped? The Congress did not say much. Now the Congress is going a step further and saying, well, we will in fact breach the 50% mark and ensure that all caste groups get reservation based or proportional to their population within the state, which means they are saying we will give reservations or hike reservations for both Vokkaligas and Lingayats. We will also restore and give reservations to Muslims according to the population in the state of Muslims in Karnataka. That's a significant statement coming in. And they're not saying we'll breach by 1-2%. They're straight away saying that we will take the entire reservation or quota in Karnataka to 75%. Remember, this has been a huge debate in fact, in Tamil Nadu until where can you take reservation? Will we end up at a stage where we will have reservation of 100%, where every community is given reservation? That's been a worry, and the top court will come in at some point in time, but the Congress making its intent very clear. We have some more questions coming in. We have Murli from Delhi asking, is there a danger of DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah faction getting into a fight after the elections? Now, well, that looks very likely. If the Congress comes back to power, there's a very, very serious chance of this happening. Both of them so far have put up a united front because both of them understand it's very, very important for them to come back to power, to be politically relevant. Siddaramaiah has already declared that this is his last election. DK Shivkumar has been out of power for the last 5 years, and he's facing a host of cases with IT and ED after him. And he too understands that he needs to be in power to be relevant politically as well. He's the party president now. 5 years later, in 2028, you don't know if he'll be the party president, if there will be a new face that will emerge. And both of them understands that the Congress in Karnataka, unlike any other state in India right now, has some bit of momentum going in its favor. There's a realistic chance of them getting majority. So both of them, if indeed the Congress gets majority, will definitely try to pressurize, lobby with the High Command to become the Chief Minister. That is something that will always happen. It's on the card. Siddaramaiah already saying the legislature party and the High Command will decide. Now, the legislature party, a majority chunk of those MLAs might back Siddaramaiah because they are winning election based on Siddaramaiah's name. He's been campaigning extensively for them in northern Karnataka, in central Karnataka, and also he's asking his coming. Remember, Siddaramaiah in mid-2000s floated what is known as Ahinda. It's a loose acronym for OBCs, the minorities, and the SC/STs. That is, in Kannada, it's Ahinda. And he says he's the leader of this cluster of OBCs, minorities, and the SC/ST community. That's a huge chunk of population in Karnataka. And he's saying, I'm the only one who has the support of this huge chunk of population, and I will decide which MLA gets picked. I will campaign for him. That's been the argument of Siddaramaiah. And he will likely lobby with the Delhi, with the High Command, that he's the man who's got them back to power if indeed the Congress crosses the halfway mark on May 13. There are some more questions. Neha is asking from Noida, saying if you think Muslim reservation is an issue from your interaction with voters. Now, Muslim reservation is not an issue for majority of Karnataka. It's an issue for Muslims for sure. They definitely feel that they've been shortchanged, and they are still talking on who to back. Both the JDS and the Congress are saying that we will do justice for Muslims. Is it an issue for the Vokkaligas and the Lingayats? From my interaction, no, because both of them want more reservation. In fact, Lingayats, when that 2% reservation was hiked, they did not sound very happy. Although the Swamijis did congratulate Basuraj Bommai, they are saying, well, we asked for much more, boss. This is not what we wanted. So they will definitely ask for more. Ritu, do you think it's an issue from your interaction in Shigaon, Hubli, various other places?
This is in fact really an issue as well, because you see the community is very much upset that why did it's a complete impartial way that the government has done it, the decision that they have really made it, and that too happening just ahead of the election. That also gives out a clear message to that community saying that how they are actually being treated in the society, while they really want to be part of the society. So this, of course, the community is more over upset as well. And top of that, the kind of statements that the BJP senior leaders are also making recently, if you see someone like K.S. Ishwarappa, the former minister, the BJP senior leader, goes on to say that the BJP doesn't need their vote bank at all. So, of course, that way you see it is more political as well, and this is really going to hurt their sentiments even more. And the community will really think that whether they should be going by the party right now, are the candidates face as well, whoever has delivered them, whatever work-wise, their performance-wise as well. So the community will really take this whole matter very seriously. But on the other hand, while there's all those kind of statements, few of them are going on making these kind of statements. On the other hand, the BJP's tallest leader, B.S. Yediyurappa, is trying to ensure that he's tackling these issues there, where he says that he doesn't stand by these kind of statements of whatever the BJP leaders are giving and making about the reservation, or for that matter, targeting that particular community as well. He says all the communities should be taken into confidence, and the party wants to head into an elections with all their support as well. But this time, of course, this is really going to be a big issue that the community will think.
It's a big issue, and we have another question. We have Anusuya Kumar asking which party will benefit, if any, from the hold on Muslim quota. Now, remember, this has happened just yesterday, and it hasn't really played out big in Karnataka. Yes, the Supreme Court asked the state government. The state government said we will go back to the previous regime and we'll stick to it in terms of the reservation regime. It hasn't really been discussed much in the local media here or even in the papers. Now, no party can claim credit for this, that they are the ones who got this to be on hold. The BJP is saying that although we will not comment on the Supreme Court, the apex court of this country, but we will ensure that Muslim reservation doesn't happen and no reservation on communal lines is allowed, and they will implement that decision on the ground. That's what Mr. Amit Shah said in Hubli day before yesterday. And the Congress saying we will give everyone reservation. So that's how it's playing out right now. Not much has changed. In fact, we've done a poll on YouTube on should Muslim reservations be brought back in Karnataka. Well, 55% of them saying yes, around 45% of them saying no. It's not a landslide yes for this, but at least a little over half of people who took part in this poll saying yes, Muslim reservation should be brought back in Karnataka. That's what the people, the Janta on YouTube believes. Does the next government that comes to power believe in that? That's something that we'll have to wait till May 13th, and perhaps even after that to understand what the new government wants to do. But let's not forget, the Supreme Court is in the mix here. There is a case that's going on. You look at the kind of observations made. In fact, the court says in one of its first hearing that the decision of the government to scrap this was on a very highly shaky ground and was flawed. It did not pass a judgment or an order. It was mere observation, but it can give you a kind of a hint on where this argument will go from here on. So more than which party comes to power, we will have to perhaps weigh in the Supreme Court order more on where this debate or this decision on whether to give Muslims reservation or not in Karnataka will go. But I guess we've discussed threadbare this issue, various aspects of this issue. Ritu, thank you for joining us with your inputs from the ground. We will keep coming back to you every day with more issues from Karnataka, try and decipher that issue for you. You can ask us here on YouTube about those issues. If you believe that there is something that needs to be discussed, we will do that as well. Thanks a lot for joining us today on the show.